In this video I'll be showing you how to play songs by ear. Playing songs by ear just means playing any song without sheet music or guitar tabs. No previous background in music is really needed to understand, and even though I have a piano here, it's just an example so you can easily see which notes are going up and down. This can help anyone who plays a musical instrument or any vocalist who wants to hit notes spot on. First, you need to understand the main concept behind playing songs by ear, and as always, it's best to work with a very simple example. Let's use the first 4 notes of the song, Silent Night. Let's try to understand the song. The song is made up of 4 different notes with different distances in between. We start at the first note, we move up 2 notes, and yes, the black notes count. Then we move down 2 notes. Then finally we move down 3 notes. I can play these distances anywhere on the piano and it will sound like the same song. If we change the distances just a little bit, it will sound like a different song. So now we can say that the distances between notes is what lets your brain recognize this song as Silent Night. So now we finally get to the point. If I wanted to play this song or any other song by ear, I would have to try and identify the distances between the notes. That's the basic concept behind playing a song by ear. It's very possible to learn, and if you're motivated enough, you can learn it pretty quickly. So now the question becomes, what's the best way to identify the distances between the notes? And aren't there too many possible distances to memorize? Okay, well, let me answer the first question. How is it possible to identify the distances between notes? Well, let me give you an example. The best way to identify the distances between 2 notes is to simply associate a song to it. For this particular interval, I've associated the song Greensleeves. As long as the second note is 3 notes above the first note, it will always sound like Greensleeves. And the more you associate the song to it, the more you automatically start thinking of that song whenever you hear that interval. For every note distance, or interval, there's always a song you can associate. For example, listen to this weird sounding one. Now I want you to try and think of a song that has this interval in it. You may think it'd have to be some kind of weird song or a scary movie song, but actually,
come with me, and you'll be in a world of pure imagination.
that song is actually from the first Willy Wonka movie. Now the interval sounds incredibly pleasant despite most people's first reaction. Don't worry about the song associations. I'll help you a lot with that, I promise. So the last question we have to cover is just, how many intervals do I have to memorize? The simple answer to that question is just 12. If you memorize just 12 intervals, you'll be able to play simple melodies by ear. Why just 12? Well, let me show you an example. Okay, it's the same interval I just played earlier, but now let's try it an octave above. The interval sounds almost exactly the same because we're still moving from a D to a C sharp, even if the C sharp is an octave up. Let's play it at the same time. It sounds the same. It has the same quality to it. Just one note is an octave up. So there's just 12. If you master just 12, you can get any song by ear, and that's all there is to it. I've actually spent a lot of time making a free and easy to use software that lets you identify these intervals and associate them to a song very easy. And best of all, it's browser based, meaning you don't have to download anything. But before we continue, you have to understand that playing songs by ear is a concept that's part of music theory. And music theory is standardized, and anytime anything is standardized, they like to add tons of random vocabulary to make things more complicated than they really are. For example, instead of saying, how many cats are in this picture? Once things become standardized, they say, what is the aggregate sum of felis catus within the boundaries of this rectangle? And instead of saying it that way, they just make up stupid symbols to represent the already complicated way they were saying it before to further confuse the poor students and abstract the question even further. Okay, so music theory is standardized, meaning it's going to have its own vocabulary. Instead of saying like we were before, the second note is one note above the first note, they would say it's a minor second. If the distance is 2 notes, then they would say it's a major second. If it was 3 notes, they say it's a minor third. So they have their own list of associated values for each of the 12 intervals. Now, I don't want you to feel overwhelmed by this or feel you have to memorize this. You don't, so don't worry about it. Just know it exists, so if you ever want to study higher level concepts in music, you won't have a difficult time. Okay, so this is my free ear trainer that you can find at trainear.com. It's browser based, so you can just play it from your browser. You don't need to download anything. You can if you want. It's only 132K. It's a very small file, and I try to make it as perfect as possible so you can associate intervals to actual songs. So with this, you can start getting better and better and better until you can actually play the songs by ear. Okay, let me show you how it works. If I click play, it's actually going to give me one of these answer choices. So it's actually going to give me one of 12 questions. I don't want that. If you're a beginner, you don't want to test yourself on 12 questions at a time. So it's better if I just uncheck different intervals so it only tests me on a few. I've unchecked them all. Let's say perfect fifth and perfect fourth. If you'll notice, I'm using the standard notation, but underneath you'll see how many notes away the actual interval is. So this is a distance of 7 between notes, and it's called a perfect fifth. So you can associate either way, it doesn't really matter. After you've selected the intervals you want, you can select different settings, like ascending plays 2 notes, one going up, and then this one plays 1 note going down, and this one plays a harmonic, 2 notes at the same time. This one randomizes between ascending and descending, and this one plays ascending, then it plays a harmonic, and then it plays descending. So let's just keep it simple. Don't get overwhelmed just by that explanation. Let's just select ascending and click play. Now it plays a perfect sine wave. It's a sine wave instead of, let's say, piano, just so you don't confuse the timbre of the instrument whenever the intervals are played. You can just concentrate on the quality of the intervals. Now, in this case, that interval sounded like Here Comes the Bride. Do 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 do. So the cool part about this program is if I miss the interval, it'll actually play the associated song. So listen. And it's even better because you can associate any song you want. If I click songs, I can go to perfect fourth, and it'll have Here Comes the Bride, La Marseillaise, Mon Beau Sapin, Amazing Grace, or some Super Mario RPG song. It has several choices you can associate with that particular interval, and in fact, you can just add. You can add your own interval. Right here's the distance between notes, and here's the speed. 1 being a quarter note, 2 being an eighth note, 4 being a 16th note, and so on. So you can just put comma 3, comma 2, and set up your own song association. You can also just play it from here. So if you've never heard the name of some of these songs, you can just go ahead and select it and play. Most of these are really common, so you should recognize at least the first ones on the list. Okay, I've reset the program. I'm going to explain what all this stuff is. It's actually just the statistics. The blue bars indicate your current score. You start with 100%. You have 100% score for all intervals. You haven't taken any questions. So let me just play an interval so you can see how the statistics works. First, let's get one right. And that's actually a minor third. So if I click it, it'll update the statistics. And now it played a different question automatically. It played a different interval, which is a minor seventh. But let's get it wrong with a major seventh. And as we said before, it'll show you the correct answer in the corner here, which is a minor seventh. Now if I click the minor seventh, it'll update the statistics to show we've gotten it wrong. As you can see now, I have a 0% score for minor 7th. If I click M7 up here in the blue buttons, in the green buttons, it'll actually show me what I confused it with. So the more questions you get, the more detailed and good the statistics will be. And since you can disable any interval, you can disable the ones you're good at and enable the ones that you're having trouble with. Just enable the hardest ones for you and just practice those. Okay, next I'm going to cover the other different features. First, let's cover the slider bars. Actually, you can increase or decrease the speed of the question using these things. Just select harmonic to make it obvious. And the song is very, very fast because the slider bar is up. And if I lower it and repeat, it'll be way more drawn out. I can put it even lower right here. I can also increase the loudness or decrease the loudness with this slider. Also have options here. Harmonic is the two notes played at the same time. I can play songs that are associated with ascending and songs that are associated with descending. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, in songs we have two columns. For example, minor second and minor second here. The difference between the two columns is all these are ascending and all these are descending. Like fur release is a descending minor second, and you can go ahead and hear it here. So yeah, and all these are ascending. So again, the first option, we can play ascending on harmonic or descending on harmonic. It may be easier just to associate ascending songs for descending. Instead, you just flip the interval in your head and associate the other ascending songs instead of playing a whole nother set of songs that you have to memorize. So that's this option. Also, remember before it showed the feedback right here of which questions you got wrong or right. You can actually disable that by clicking here. You can also delete all statistics. Let's delete them and see, it's all reset. You can also save your progress. This saves all your songs, all your statistics, all your options. Just copy it to clipboard, just clicking this button, and then save it to a file or somewhere safe, and then when you want to import it, just paste. And all your statistics, all your options will be set to exactly how you left them. Alright, so that's all there is to it. You click play, you click the answer, you repeat over and over and over again till you get it perfect. And then you can start playing songs by ear, just associating the distances between notes. How long will it take? I don't know. 2 weeks? A month? It really doesn't matter. It won't take forever. It won't take a year. It's only 12 intervals, so it's not a big deal. It really just depends how fast you can associate the song to the interval and how much time you put into it. Maybe 20 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day, an hour a day. Maybe you might finish it in a week. Who knows? Interval identification is the foundation for a lot of other stuff in ear training, so if you master it, it'll help you get down other concepts in ear training too. For example, let's say somebody's playing guitar chords and you want to isolate the chords. They're playing 3 notes at the same time or more. All you have to do is train chord identification. If you have interval identification, it's actually a lot easier to train chord identification. Let's say if you want to be a jazz man. You want to train jazz. Jazz is just improvisation, which is basically intervals plus scales. So all you have to do is train additionally scales to see what scale the song is being played in, so you can start improvising in it. Playing by ear is a very impressive skill to have, and it'll help a lot in the future. I wish I had started interval identification a lot earlier, and I hope you have the opportunity to do